And Habibah, thank you so much for being our special guest tonight.
You're welcome, my
talk to us
pleasure.
about career. Like everyone else, I'm very nervous to see an HR boss. If I say something wrong, I may not have a future with BIBD.
Don't say that. I thank you also for inviting me. I'm actually pretty delighted, and I've been looking forward to this since last time you asked. So it's nice to see there's some people attending. So thank you guys for making the time to join this session.
Right now, I would give a very quick introduction about who you are listening to tonight. So we have Ms. Habibah Haji Harry, who is the Chief Human Resource Officer of BIBD. But prior to that, you have 17 years of HR experience with Brunei Shell, of which Habibah spent 3 years in Malaysia, heading Asia Pacific and Middle East as a regional HR advisor for Shell International for IT. That's a big deal for Bruneian. And Habibah plays a key role in policy direction, strategic changes to HR policies, and you hold a bachelor an honors degree from management studies from University of Brunei Darussalam. So proudly a Bruneian, made in Brunei success story.
Thank you.
Without further ado, I would like to start by entering this discussion into something slightly lighter. I want to know about HR. Let's start with talking about HR.
Okay, HR as a profession is very wide. Yeah, it covers all sorts of things, and people always think if they talk about HR, it's about recruitment, hiring, and firing. It's actually not that. If you think about HR, we actually do organization design. So we also look at manpower planning. So this is where we look at staff and develop them. They would have career paths. We also look at staff not only in terms of their roles in the job, but also looking at their potential for the future.
Mm-hmm.
If you think of the organization as the brain, the bones, and the nerves, yeah, then HR is responsible for all that. If you think about HR also, HR is responsible pretty much in terms of managing employees from before they start joining the organization, when they're in the organization, until when they leave the organization. So every part of the employee journey in the organization is managed by HR.
And I know that you have over 1,000 staff in BIBD.
Yes.
So you would know everyone, 1,000 names.
I would not know everybody, but I would like to do. But we do have a lot of engagements with them. So, in the course of my 2 years in BIBD, I have known a lot. It is impossible to, of course, know everybody's names.
Habibah, I want you to bring us back. A lot of our audience tonight are quite young, between 18 to 25-year-old, thinking about, hey, whether or not I should study HR, whether or not, I should actually get into HR as a career.
Okay.
If you were to think about the time you were 16 to 18-year-old before you get into uni, did you understand what HR is? Did you, today you are the head of HR in one of the biggest company in Brunei. So,
yes.
What went through your mind? Was there a career path fixated when you were 16-year-old?
No, when I was 16, I wanted to be a pilot. And then when I was 17, I wanted to be an architect. So, those kinds of stuff. So, and I have never heard of HR then. Yeah.
Right.
But what I do know is that I have always loved to study about people. I've always liked to understand, how people think, And I was always very interested in relationships between people. So I know I was from the science college, yeah, Tap Science they call it now, I
Right.
think, yeah. Um, I was never really that interested in sciences. I was never interested in IT or medicine for that matter. But as we go through sixth form center,
Mm-hmm.
we had what we call the general paper subject, right? So they talked a lot about current affairs then, and that's when I thought, you know, I am actually really interested in people, and I did geography as well, and they did human geography, and even then, I knew that people and people's relationships, you know, is pretty close to my heart. If I think about it, in fact, actually, I wanted to be kind of like a police detective at one point because I was reading a lot of like Sherlock Holmes and detective stories. And when I went into university, when I did management studies, they had a big section of it was around human resources management, and I knew then, you know, that was a very interesting subject to take other than politics. Yeah. So.
What made you pick it up? You know, what specifically in the HR subject that was so interesting that you devote your life career into HR right now?
Industrial relations, actually.
What does it mean?
I'm sorry. Industrial relations is how you actually, it's about employees, you know.
Mhm.
So industrial relations is looking at how the management or how organizations manage employees and looking at the policies um, for people management in an organization. So things like unions, you know, how they manage union workers, and what kind of negotiations that, you know, you have to go through in order for the employees to be happy working in the organization. But you know, if you think about HR, the topic is so large. You know, as I said earlier, HR is about organization design. It's also about performance management. We're also looking at policies and procedures. We're looking at learning and development. Basically, you know, how do you actually build somebody's career? Um, we're also looking at confidential information. We are custodian of
People's
employee,
salary.
and you know, very personal stuff as well about their families and their medical histories, etc., etc. So it is a big. If I would think about it as a profession, it's quite big, and you do have generalist roles and specialist roles, and it's up to you if you know, if you're more interested in being a specialist, you know, where you design organizations, or you know, you evaluate jobs and make analysis, then those are pretty much specialist areas like policy making. Yeah, because those also involve things like understanding the laws of the country, employment laws, labor laws, etc., etc. But there are also generalist roles like, you know, hiring. You know, you can be a recruitment officer.
Yep.
You can also do training.
Mhm.
So which, you know, can be learned.
So how big is your HR department?
In BIBD though, my team is about 20 people,
Oh,
just
that's
maybe
huge.
22. Yeah, so it's pretty small
Is it
for an
considered
organization
small,
of
20
1,000
people?
staff.
Can you hear me?
Say that again.
No, 20 people is quite big, isn't it?
20 people for the type of stuff that we do? Not really, but it is enough if we manage our time properly. So in my division, we have what we call the organization and manpower planning. We
Mhm.
also have learning and development. Then we have employee and industrial relations, learn policy and remuneration, and then we have our admin group.
Which specific area in HR do you yourself most enjoy?
I have to say I like OMP, which is Organization and Manpower Planning, as well as employee and industrial relations. Even though the rest also I love, of course, but those two specifically.
When was the last time you interviewed someone?
Uh, I can't remember. I do so many meetings.
Is it someone else's role? You
Hmm?
only interview like high-ranking personnel?
Yes, yes. As I said, I've got a department that actually specifically looks at recruitment. But I do actually do interviews for senior managers or senior